Welcome back to the 128 KB podcast. We're back once again due to lack of popular demand to share our thoughts about all things gaming.
Well, really, it's just you're joining two angry old men.
We decided in the last podcast that we recorded, we had a revelation that actually we're just two angry gamers, which is what the channel should have been called.
Yeah.
Two angry gamers.
It should have been.
We're just old and bitter that the world's changed and left us behind.
That's pretty much it. And it's sort of been coming on for the past several podcasts now.
Yeah.
And then we kind of made that realization.
Like, we just don't like change.
Yeah.
And that actually leads on really nicely to what I wanted to talk about this week.
Oh, yes.
Which is nostalgia.
Yeah.
And is nostalgia killing video games?
Oh.
Flank.
Well, people online certainly seem to think it.
Yes. The reaction to 2D games, the 2D Prince of Persia that is going to be released, would suggest that people don't like things that look slightly older.
Yep.
And also there's a lot of backlash when certain AAA titles get remastered or remade.
Yes, definitely.
To be released on modern hardware. And that there's always the things, they should be focusing on new episodes of a franchise
or new IPs in general.
Yeah, new IPs in general.
I think people's position is that they're like, why waste time remaking a game that's already good that you've already got access to for whatever reason?
I'll start off this debate by agreeing with them and saying that there is one instance that I can say it's time to give it up and move on.
Is that what's sat behind you on the shelf?
No.
Oh.
No.
Okay, what's that?
It's time to give it up and move on. It's been 10 years.
Oh, the game that's just been the same game on every console and they just sell it full price.
Yes.
And then they remade it.
Yeah.
But it's the same game.
Yeah.
Well, they remastered it, didn't they?
Yeah. So that's Grand Theft Auto 5 if you haven't followed along, which is the third best-selling game of all time and still selling incredibly well.
Because it's the only game they've released in 10 years.
Yeah. In that situation, I agree that nostalgia is killing video games in the sense, but it's not really nostalgia. That's just holding on to Grand Theft Auto Online and the role-playing that happens within that.
That's being greedy.
Yeah,
what it is.
Yeah, it's fair.
Because when you think back to Rockstar back in the day, think of how many games they released. They released like a game every year.
Yeah.
Like, it was all the time and they were all good. Mm-hmm. And then they made GTA 5 and went, bye. And they went and retired.
They released possibly at the time the best video game of all time.
Oh, yeah.
And went, well, that's us done.
Yeah, that's it.
There's a team working on some Red Dead. There'll be a couple of years.
Yeah.
See you later.
Yeah, that was it.
But yeah, that's the one time I would agree that it's time to move on.
Yes.
There's been some good and some bad remasters, remakes, re-releases. There's been some pointless ones.
Yes.
Last of Us.
Yeah, well, what was that about?
I'm not sure.
So let's just talk about that really quickly because I came into The Last of Us late.
Yeah, same.
And I think I bought it when I got the PS4, didn't play it. And then I actually think we either played it on the PS4 Pro or on the PS5. I think I waited until the because remember, PS5 is going to be 3 years old this year.
That's insane. Only halfway through its life cycle.
So I'm pretty sure we waited until we got the PS5 and we played through the PS4 version of The Last of Us. Yeah. And then we played through The Last of Us 2. Yeah. Which
I've not done 2.
Oh, it's amazing. You absolutely
Is it better than 1?
I don't know if it's better, but it's in line with.
I've got it.
Because I thought number 1 was phenomenal.
One of the best games ever.
Oh, it gripped us. We played it start to finish. And that's when we immediately went to number 2. Yeah, straight after. We back-to-backed both games. Yeah. So it was like no break waiting for it to release or anything. I literally had both of them and we went boom, through the whole thing. Amazing. And then a few months later, they were like, yeah, we were remastering it, remaking it or remastering it. And I was like,
why?
We just played this on the PS5, like a PS4 game. And it looked amazing.
Yeah, it was phenomenal.
And that was already the remaster. Yeah. Because it came out on PS3.
Yes.
So it came out on PS3. Yeah. They then redid it for the PS4.
They did a Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, they're doing a Grand Theft Auto. And then they remastered it again for PS5. But the thing is I've seen side-by-side comparisons. I swear nothing's changed.
I'm a bit cynical with that. I think it's because they knew the series was coming and that would boost sales.
Yeah.
So having it on the current generation makes a lot more sense.
It added shadows.
Yeah.
Here's the remaster.
Did they put ray tracing in or something?
I don't know.
Which seems kind of pointless.
They supposedly redid all the models and everything. Ugh. It looks exactly the same.
Yeah,
like, seriously. Okay, there might be like a 5% difference, but realistically, that game did not need any changing.
No, there's a story that carries the game, not the graphics so in that instance.
And I'm a massive hypocrite because I'm saying that about this.
Yeah.
And then there's other games that people have said the same about, but I'm like, no, it needed it.
Yeah.
Like Resident Evil 4.
Yeah, see, and this is the thing. The argument here is that it was a quality game on a recent generation-ish release that didn't need re-releasing, didn't need remaking. It had its place.
You know about Resident Evil 4?
Yeah.
So are you saying the GameCube is a recent bit of hardware?
Well, kinda. It's not the SNES.
Only for GameCube, remember, Resident Evil 4 was?
Which is insane.
I know, yeah.
Like, 5 people had that or something?
Yeah, I was one. Yeah, I think Resident Evil 4 was 2004.
See, that's like just a couple of years ago.
Yeah, it wasn't 20 years ago.
See, there's the angry old gamers coming out again. Yeah, but that's the kind of argument. It's within recent-ish times.
Yeah.
Really, we should... I'm justifying it. Don't you join in.
Trying to claw out of that one. It was recent.
I remember it quite well.
45 years ago. You remember last year, like, back in the 70s.
Like 89, like a couple of years ago.
Yeah. Pong was around. But yeah, no, I know what you're saying. It was, and for me, which is funny because I am a hardcore Resident Evil 4 lover. Like, I love that game. And they did remaster it already because Resident Evil 4 HD came out. And that was amazing, absolutely amazing. Okay, the GameCube version's the best, but regardless, they already did like an updated version. But I was thinking about it and I was like, if you're a kid now and you try to play that, like, the controls are horrendous. You have to stop and then aim with Leon. And then they did Resident Evil 4 remake like recently, and people were kicking off, but the original is amazing. It is, but only for us that know the original. Yeah. For new generation of kids, if they stuck with it, they'd probably love it. But immediately they'd go, Nyeh.
And that takes us on to the positive point really quite quickly, is that there's these epic, amazing games that firstly didn't get the kind of graphic or performance love that the story or the gameplay deserved at the time.
Yeah.
But also now there's exponentially more gamers than there was 20 years ago.
Definitely.
That need to be exposed to these incredible games.
Yeah.
And either the hardware's too old to actually be even able to play it. I mean,
True.
you're going to get a GameCube anywhere?
Yeah, exactly.
Like £100 CX.
Probably more. But
yeah. The controls always suck so hard.
Yeah.
So maybe it's justified. And after they had done Resident Evil 2, they did the third as well.
Yeah, they did 3. Yeah, the remakes. Yeah.
After they'd done those 2 remakes, they had to.
Yeah, they had to do something.
They had to do something before because it's so iconic.
Yes, and I'm glad that they did it in that order, to be honest. I'm glad they did 2, then 3, and then did 4. Because when the rumors come about, like, are they going to do 4 or not? And people were like hating on it. I was like, I kind of hope they do because I want another excuse to play this game again because I love it. Like, I love Resident Evil 4. And the remake does it justice. I think it's a phenomenal game. Yeah. Especially when we were playing it on the Steam Deck. It's like, you could play that on a handheld.
It's amazing.
And it's still fun.
There is instances where the fan base, the diehard fan base, have called out for it for years since the release. Every time there's a new generation of system. So you have a lot of people saying just focus on new IPs, but you also have hardcore players like yourself with Resident Evil 4. They're going, actually, I want this to happen. And there's been some successes with that as well. Yeah. Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Yes.
Which is now going to be a 3-part epic over 6-7 years. Yep. We're not going to see the second part now until the early part of 2024. So it's been a bit delayed from what they originally thought. But I think you can hands down say that the first part of that was been a screaming success.
Yes. And that, like you were saying about opening it up for new gamers, is like basically what happened with me. I mean, it goes into Crisis Core first for me. Yeah. But going back to Final Fantasy VII, okay, I was a kid when that came out, so it's not like I missed it. I tried it multiple times when I was a kid, but I just couldn't get on with it.
Yeah.
Because I loved the story, I loved the graphics, everything. I really liked it. I just didn't like the turn-based.
I would imagine you were on the cusp of being slightly too young.
Yeah, I don't know. When did it come out?
97?
97?
98, something like that.
I think it would have been like 2000 I was probably playing it.
Yeah. Okay.
So, I was like 9, 10, and some of my friends loved it already at that age, but I just couldn't get into it and I think it was because I was only playing it at friends' houses. So I was jumping into random bits.
That's tough, man.
Didn't understand what was going on. My brother had it, and I saw the intro bit up until the factory explodes or whatever. And I thought, this is really cool.
Yeah.
But it just felt long and slow.
Yes.
And I never got into it myself. I never went and bought it. And then obviously Crisis Core came out. Was like, this is amazing. The remake is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And that's another game that's been remade.
Yes.
PSP game originally.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure I had it when it came out originally, but didn't play it like a lot. Then it got remade, played that, thought it was amazing. Never completed it. But I loved that so much that is what inspired me to then go and buy Final Fantasy VII Remake. Because I went, you know what? I think now I would like this.
Yeah.
And without that remake, I wouldn't have bothered.
Yeah.
And I think countless other people would be the same.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. And it shows, because the fan base for the longest time were calling out. Every time there was a next generation of console, please remake Final Fantasy
Do a
VII
GTA 5.
Yeah, can you remake it for this? It would look so good with next generation graphics. So there's times when it's been a screaming success. Square have, in a roundabout way, confirmed it's been hugely leaked that they're going to redo 9 as well. I'm gutted that if that's true, that they're going to skip 8.
Why would they skip 8?
8 is huge.
Right.
8 was 4 discs on the PS1.
Wow.
It's a massive. There's so much that happens in it. So maybe it's tough. But then saying that, I think 9 might have been 4 discs as well.
Wasn't 7 4 discs?
No, 7's 3.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's slightly smaller. 8 is... 7's my favourite game. 8's my favourite story. That's how it is. So yeah, there's times where nostalgia wins. Remakes in particular, I think, are totally justified. I find them really exciting when they're well done.
Yes.
There's some pointless ones, like we said. Last of Us is pointless.
Oh, that's...
There was Life is Strange was another one, which was like, I think they were like a year apart.
That's what I mean. Like, those ones are pointless. Because that's just a money milker, isn't it? Like, they're just going, identical. Oh, look. It's like, what's the point? I played the one like 2 weeks ago, mate.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But other ones that are great. I mean, look at Xenoblade Chronicles. I forgot about that. The Definitive Edition. The original came out on Wii, and amazing game. If you try and play the original now, it's really hard because it's not got the modern life. What's it called? Like quality of life improvements that you would expect.
Yeah.
They remastered it for the 3DS. I played that. Amazing. It had some improvements. And then they made the definitive edition for the Switch, which took all of those improvements and then made even more quality of life improvements. And that is literally the definitive edition. They named it correctly. And that is a great remaster. And it's a great game that people would definitely avoid because there's so many issues with just trying to play the game in a modern situation. So stuff like that, I think, absolutely warrant remakes.
Yeah. How do you feel then? So you've got remakes, remasters. How do you feel about re-releases?
In what?
I'm loading this question so hard.
So you mean taking the original game and basically just porting it over?
Yeah. How do you feel about that? When there's been I don't know, say multiple generations have advanced.
Yeah.
And then they just release it.
The same, without basically any effort. Just one game that's been heralded as one of the best of all times. And then they just bring it over and it's...
How do you feel about that? I mean...
I wanted to like it, okay? I wanted to hyped.
So hyped.
I really did. I wanted to like it.
Yep.
But it sucked.
This was... I think I'm just going to say it was the most disappointed I've ever been with a game.
It was bad, wasn't it?
Since I was a kid and I bought Rise of the Robots.
Yes.
It's the most disappointed I've been. I was so hyped. Do you remember that we watched the direct together when I think we might have streamed it or done a live reaction or something?
Yeah.
When they did the little and you're like, no way!
Yeah, yes.
It's coming.
I think we did stream it, yeah.
And like, we were so hyped. It's like, at last, Nintendo Switch Online is going to have GoldenEye on it. Man, how have they done that? That's going to be so good. Oh.
And we waited a while because they never announced when it would be. And then it came. And we played probably about an hour and went, well, that sucked.
And that is my feeling about most of the Nintendo Switch Online library, the re-releases of these old nostalgic games. Sometimes nostalgia's best left in the past.
Yeah.
Let it die.
Yeah.
You know, the memories are better than what the reality was. Yeah. Or your memory was, this is based off what is current.
Yes,
there's nothing to compare it to.
It was, yeah.
GoldenEye in its time was phenomenal.
It was, yeah, absolutely.
Perfect Dark, one of my favourite games of that generation. At the time, one of my favourite games. What a phenomenal shooter that was. By today's standards, it's trash.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And that's the thing, is that's purely there just for that niche minority of like hardcore fans that probably still have an N64 hooked up playing it, but they just want to be able to play it somewhere else. And that's small.
It's tiny.
Like I think they should have remade it.
Yes.
Like a ground up remaster, like, you know, remake.
Yeah.
In today's standard, like they did with Resident Evil 2.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And that might be like, yeah, this is sick, but and maybe put that in as a mini game. Like, do you know what I mean? Like when you complete the game, you can play the original. And still no one would care.
Talking of the originals, that's when we get to the remasters rather than the remakes or just the re-releases. And there are some good and some bad. There's been some really novel ones as well where I'm thinking of, you said one earlier as well, I'm thinking of Alex the Kid in Miracle World, where a classic game from the Sega Master System. It was built into the Masters. I had to think that.
Nice.
Yeah. It's a 2D platformer, surprisingly.
I thought you didn't like those.
I love them. Classic game. And so they did like a remaster of this. So current generation graphics. But with a flick of a button, you can go exactly to the same place you are on the same level with the original graphics.
It just like changes the assets, doesn't it? It's just like, bam. Yeah.
Loads of new assets and you're with the original graphics or vice versa. And I think that's such a great way of incorporating nostalgia.
Definitely, yeah. And that's what they did with Diablo 2 Resurrected.
Yes.
Or whatever they call it. I think it was Resurrected. And they did the same thing. Brought it to modern standards, like redid all the assets, all the level design, everything, but it was identical in every way.
Yeah.
Into the fact that like you could press a button and it would literally just revert to the original.
That's great.
And all the animations and everything went back to the original. And the music changed. Like, that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, I'll just play it in the modern version.
Of course, yeah.
But for like doing like 10 minutes or whatever, like, haha, look at this.
How did it look? Oh my God.
It is good. And for those like that are really into the nostalgia, I think that's great because they can still experience it today, but as they want.
Yeah.
So that I like those.
Yeah, that's when nostalgia definitely isn't killing games. That's kind of nostalgia is being acknowledged but moved on from.
Yeah.
Like you can see this and this is cool, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
But you probably want the new version.
Yeah. Would you really want to play this GoldenEye?
GoldenEye. Is there any good games on there on Switch Online?
Yeah. All the Game Boy Advance ones are great. I love all those. But that's mainly because they were locked on a handheld platform.
Yeah. Okay.
That was, do you know what I mean? It's not the same as like a home console. And I don't know, they'd look a lot cleaner because all the Game Boy Advance stuff, it's really cool being able to play that on your TV. Whereas before you'd have to have the GameCube.
That's actually really true. The Game Boy games have never looked so good.
Yeah.
And I think because they're so going back to the original Game Boy games, because there's something so simplistic about them, it's fine.
Yeah.
But like the NES and the SNES,
they will suck.
They suck. The N64.
Yeah, there's some that suck on there. There's still some I really like Sin and Punishment. I always bang on about that. That's so good, that game. It really is. And it holds up in today's standard when using the actual, I'm pointing over there because there's a controller. The actual N64 wireless controller, the control layout wins with that game.
Oh, 100%.
Like it is like made for that controller, and it's so cool. Like so, there is some really good N64 games, but yeah, most of them can probably not bother with.
Yeah. I know there's the game I keep talking about, Flashbacks. They're making a sequel to it, which is kind of beholden on its nostalgia. Sequels to really old games.
Yeah.
That relies on people remembering. I would argue that Metroid Dread was a little bit of that. It was almost a 20-year gap.
Yeah, I know.
So it is relying on nostalgia.
Yes. Yeah, in a sense. I mean, they did market it as like a new game.
Yeah.
And they said, like, don't worry if you don't even know what the old ones are, because they recapped everything in the beginning.
Yeah.
So you didn't need to know, and I'm sure loads of people didn't. But for those like me that were like, yeah, you know, because of that 20-year gap, like that, definitely. But Metroid's amazing. Even like Super Metroid and stuff is still great. Metroid 1 sucks. You need to play Zero Mission on the Game Boy Advance.
Yes, I do, because it looks so much better.
But Nintendo Switch Online, they've got Fusion, which is 4, but they haven't put Zero Mission on there.
Nintendo.
So you have to play number 1 on the NES,
which is awful. Don't bother. It's so bad.
Zero Mission is miles better.
I think those re-releases, you have to just be a hardcore fan.
Yeah.
Who is willing to accept the bad control systems and probably has the NES controller for the Switch. Yeah, because if you try and jump into it from a modern framework, it just doesn't work.
No, and that's the same with Samus Returns on the Game Boy. You know, so Metroid 2, let's call it that, was on the Game Boy. And that's on the Switch Online expansion pack, but that sucks too. It's no point. They remade it for the 3DS, and that was a full ground-up remake by the people that made Metroid Dread. And you go and play that now, and it feels like Dread. It's great. That is a fantastic game. Return of Samus, or Samus Returns is the remake. The Return of Samus was the first one, or second, whatever. But, you know, like those kind of remakes are absolutely warrant it. But those, like, just porting them over, it's like...
I don't know about it.
Yeah, nah.
I don't know. If you listening or watching, whatever you do to this podcast, what do you think about nostalgia? Does it ruin games for you, or is it good? Do you want to see more Final Fantasy remakes?
Yeah. I think for the other argument, so the argument that people were saying, oh, well, it kills like new ideas and whatever. I don't think so, because it's bringing old games that are great to new audiences.
Yeah.
And they're getting another revenue stream in that they can then hopefully siphon into new ideas. You know, because I totally am all for, I understand where people are coming from. Like, oh, well, there's no new games because they're just remaking old ones. It's like redoing films. Do you know what I mean? And I get that. But at the same time, I think there's a place to preserve these epic games.
Yeah.
Not all of them. Like some of them are just rubbish. But like the good ones, you know, I think there's definitely a place to remake and remaster them.
Yeah.
And then hopefully that will then encourage them to make new stuff in the future.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. But then I'm a grumpy old gamer, so I quite like seeing old stuff being re-released.
Yeah, I do. I love it. Every time I see it, like Metroid Prime Remastered. That is phenomenal.
Oh, yeah. I've not played that yet.
No, I haven't either. But I have, but just not all the way through. But it is incredible. Like, you know, having that on the Switch.
Did you finish Resident Evil 4?
No.
Okay. Did you finish Zelda?
Oh, no.
How far did you get through?
Probably about 10 hours in.
Okay, good.
And then Diablo 4 came out, and that's all I've played since.
Have you been playing that? Have you?
Yeah. Well, I haven't for about a week and a half, but that's, you know, because I've been busy in the evenings.
Yeah.
But,
okay.
And I played it last night.
I was going to get it.
It's
I was.
Amazing. But I'm a massive Diablo nerd.
Mainly so I could co-op with you. And I haven't yet because I saw the price. It was £70. I was like, for a standard version.
Yeah, no.
I don't know if I want to play it that much.
Yeah, it is like one of those games you need to play a lot. It's basically like an MMO.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you just got to keep playing it. But you don't have to. Nothing like changes. Everything scales.
Yeah.
But I think if you were to play with me and Christina, I think you'd need to sort of be roughly the same level for it to like work. We could party together and stuff, but I think it wouldn't be as good. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, because then everything would be like our level. Yeah. Because we're the highest levels.
Oh, it wouldn't be my level.
And then you'd be like, you're a noob, so you'd just be getting owned by everything. I think that's how it works.
To be fair, that's how I felt playing Ascent.
Yeah.
Talking about the isometric
I felt
games.
so bad for you for
trying to play it on my own. It was so hard. I didn't get very far. I gave up.
It's such a good game, though. Definitely try it again.
I was going to buy the physical version.
I know.
It was in game, and I was like, oh, that looks really cool. And then I'm like, what am I doing? I've already owned it.
Yeah, I just
buy it twice.
I bought it digitally twice. Got it on PS5 and on Steam.
That is a topic for another podcast.
Yeah.
Buying physical games and then the digital version as well.
Buy digital versions twice.
Oh, that sucks. Anyway, if you've got to the deep end with us, then make sure you rate this podcast. It does massively help us out. Apparently, we were in the top 10 in Kazakhstan.
Oh, yes.
So if you're from Kazakhstan,
thank you.
And if you're from Holland, we did quite well in the charts there too.
Yeah, thank you too.
Thank you. I don't know what thank you is in Dutch.
No, I don't have an idea.
No, don't ask us about Dutch, but do ask us about grumpy opinions on video games. And if you want some more grumpy opinions, listen to Andy talking about, I'm going to guess it's a Nintendo Switch controller.
Probably. Yeah, because recently that's all it's been.
And if you want to see two grumpy old men talking about more things video game related, then there is this one right here. And of course, thanks for listening. And until the next time, we'll see you next time.
Bye.